everybody, to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm your host, Lady JB Owen, and I'm here to share with you ways that you can ignite humanity, inspire yourself, that inspires others, that is ultimately going to inspire humanity. And so today is all about connection. We're talking about connection, ways to create connection, build connection, forge connections, and actually unite one another through connections. I love to share about Ignite moments, those powerful moments in your life that really transform you. And it's through sharing those moments and being vulnerable and authentic enough to tell another person about that pivotal moment that made a difference in your life and how that moment turned into something greater. That's what connects us. In fact, I say all the time, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, the gender, where you live, your country, your nationality, how much money you have in your pocket, or what floor of the apartment building you live on. It really doesn't matter. What really connects us is our truth, our vulnerability, our authenticity, and that honest, genuine, heartfelt story that every single one of us has lived through. Now, many of our Ignite moments are different. Some are similar, but the common denominator is that we all learn something valuable from them. And from that pivotal point of an Ignite moment, we are propelled forward to do something different in our lives that we weren't doing before. Now, some of us, our Ignite moments are difficult and challenging and struggles. And yet some of us have Ignite moments that are just small incremental things, but have a big power and punch. And those Ignite moments ask us to be more of ourselves, to give more, to share more, to commit to more. And that allows us to create a ripple effect for somebody else. Your Ignite moment can pull someone forward. My Ignite moment can inspire you. And the guest we have on the show today, their Ignite moment is definitely going to give you food for thought on how you can build better connections. And truly, when we connect with one another, that's what's going to ignite humanity. A few months ago, I was on a plane and the woman sitting beside me didn't talk for most of the trip, but eventually she did engage with me, and I asked her Ignite moment. When she shared that she had been looking for her father and she had found him after 47 years of searching, it truly made me feel more connected to her. And I layered some of my own experiences about loss and parenting and being a child in conjunction with what she was sharing. And we suddenly felt more connected. And I said to her, if this plane crashed, I would do everything to save you, because I felt this kindred spirit towards her. Conversely, if she wouldn't have shared her Ignite moment and that plane went down, I probably would have just saved myself. So I want you to think about the times in your life where someone has told you a story about them, a truthful, vulnerable, honest, genuine story of something that they have been through and overcome. And I want you to think about how that story has made you feel more connected, closer to them, and more unified in their mission to do their life. Additionally, think about your Ignite moment or a story that you have shared, a time when you have let your guard down and been more vulnerable, when you have let people see the truth and who you are, and some of the trials and tribulations you've been through, and how after sharing that story makes you feel more connected and more closer to them than ever. I believe Ignite moments are going to ignite humanity. And it's by sharing them on this show that you are going to feel more connected, and they are going to feel more connected, and you are going to be inspired to help others, and they are going to be inspired to help others. And together we're going to ignite humanity. Well, we're happy that you're here, and we want you to know that you can see this show's recording and all of our episodes on our wonderful platform, ignitehumanity.life/watch. If you'd like to watch any of our previous episodes, you can see them here, and they are all free to you. We don't sell you anything. We don't retarget you or expect you to do anything other than enjoy the power of igniting humanity. So go watch those episodes and stay connected. All right, well, let's introduce our two guests. Now, this is a precedent for Ignite Humanity Live. We are interviewing two guests. Husband and wife team Robert and Noelle have been married 30 years and have spent 25 of that coaching their other couples in conflict management and setting a firm foundation for marriage. They have been missionaries in South America, served as pastor and wife at a church in Denver, Colorado, and they are amazing parents of two beautiful children. Robert and Noelle love helping other couples see the benefits and blessings of strong, trusting relationships, and they're here to share a little bit about how connection can ignite the world. All right, welcome to the show, both of you.
Well, thank you so much.
Happy to have you here, and blessings. You are christening our first dual guest call, so thank you for being that. I like let's start the motion in motion.
What a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, let's ladies first. Noelle, tell us a little bit about the power of creating an incredible relationship and a connection through some of the training that you do.
Yeah, so I mean, connection's a huge part of life, and when you're able to dig into those foundational core things that are part of who you are, you can build that rapport, that relationship that you can build on. And for us, we 30 years in, we've done many things, and it's not you're not afraid to try new things. You're not afraid to go out and do things or to talk about any of those moments. And communication is very key in a relationship and in building that connection, because if you, as you said, when you talk about things, when you tell your story, you can build that relationship, and you can put those your own filter, your own history into what that means and how that must have felt, how that must have been.
I so agree. And so, Robert, from the male perspective, how is connection vital to marriage?
Well, I just think obviously we were each created for connection. We were created for relationships, and not just marriage relationships, but relationships with fellow men. And I think our humanity is at its best when it's connecting and concerned with others. And so when we can create connections as a couple, and then when we can create connections through our lives and through other relationships, only good things can come from those connections when you're putting other people first. And like the example you shared, with the lady sitting next to you on the airplane, connections really do matter. And I think our culture and the world around us is so much selfishness and so much self-focus going on that it's refreshing to be able to create connections both in life and in business that are focused on helping others and growing others all around us without worried about the personal gain involved.
It's so true. For 21 years, I lived in a city of 4 million people. And I remember going to the grocery store and it pretty much being silent. Like no one was talking to each other. No one was talking to the checkout girls. I mean, it was kind of like a desolate sort of situation. People were just focused and doing their own thing. And then I flew to a very small island where my sister lived, where like there was like maybe 2,800 people on the whole island. And I went to the grocery store and it was so noisy. Like everyone was talking and chatting and saying hello and standing in the aisles and visiting. And I actually noticed how the energy was so different. Even the food tasted better when we brought it home. The whole atmosphere was enlightened because people were connecting. And I think your point is that now more than ever, we are becoming disconnected and we're becoming in our own little bubble and protecting ourselves. Can you give us some ideas and maybe even a few tips that some of the people at home can use in connecting, not just in marriage, but with teens or kids or neighbors or coworkers? Any great ideas and strategies you have?
I'll start with active listening. I mean, God gave us two ears and one mouth for a reason. If you can listen for the listening aspect and not for a reaction, not for your response, listen to what the other person's really saying so you can hear their heart and they know that you are listening. I think will make a huge difference in most relationships.
And is there a pause or is there an indicator that people can do that really lets the speaker know they're listening?
I mean,
Ask a question.
it's asking a question in response, and really engaging in the story and what's being said. And I mean, the words have gone, but take it.
And taking that moment to I know with my kids when they're talking, I actually really look at them straight in the eye. In fact, sometimes I get down to their level. And, from parents, we could be looking down and I sort of get down to their level. Or even with my spouse, I really just stop what I'm doing, like just literally stop everything I'm doing. How many times are we listening and doing the dishes or, writing something or looking at our phone? Any ideas of other ways that we can just be really active listeners?
I mean, yeah, giving the attention, and then when they stop and they pause, they're saying to, this is what I heard you say, and reiterating back to them what you heard to make sure that that's what they meant to say.
Yeah, very good point. Asking for clarity, like, is this what I heard you say? Or just to clarify, I often say that, or just to recap or to clarify, or just making sure I heard you correctly. A couple of years ago, I was at an event, and the author of Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus was speaking, and he said that he would always say to the person, is there any more you want to share? And then they would share, and then he'd say, is there anything else you would like to tell me about that? And then they would share a little bit more. And he said he did it with his wife. He would literally like continue to just give her more and more prompts in case there was any more she had to say. And she would say it until she truly felt like she was being heard. And I thought that was a really great suggestion by that author.
Yeah, I totally agree. And giving them the whole chance, because when you're telling something, you're just giving the overview, the high level, and you're just evaluating the other person's interaction. And if you get the ask questions and draw it out of them, they're more likely to give you the whole story and give you their full perspective and what they truly are trying to say. And it helps them process too, because they're not necessarily thinking through what they're wanting.
Mm-hmm. And Robert, do you find that people sometimes like act out or be insistent or create drama because they don't feel like they're being heard?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously
I didn't at you or anything. I was thinking more about my kids and stuff like that.
Well, we raised 2 teenagers too, and so yeah, absolutely. And we have a grandson who's 6 now, and so we get to see the acting out when you're not getting the attention that you want. And the crazy thing that I've always found is just thinking about children, and they bring home the picture from school, and they just want the attention, right? Mom, Dad, look at my picture. Look at the picture. And they want the picture put on the refrigerator. And that doesn't go away as adults. and yet now it feels silly to run home to mom and dad and say, oh, look at the business report I got today. My boss is so proud of me. Would you put it on the fridge, mom and dad? But the truth is we all want that attention. We all want that acknowledgement. And I think our culture has just created this whole technological idea of connection now that is really fake. It's so superficial, right? We've got thousands of friends on Facebook, and I get thousands of likes to the post I post about the cat licking my face, but there's no connection to any of those people. And so one of the things we missed over the last couple of years, going out to breakfast and seeing the folks that are eating breakfast at the same place every day, and being intentional about asking their names and having a conversation about them or their family. And then over the last 2 years, they've been gone, and we haven't seen them come back. And for me, it's like, wow, did something happen? Did the COVID thing get them? Or are they just not coming back because they're scared? Or are they not coming back because, they don't feel the same connections? And in those human connections of people, I think one of the simplest things is our name, right? Just using a person's name and being able to acknowledge them and remembering their name the next time that you see them. And I know so many people are saying, oh, I'm terrible at names. I can't remember names. Well, first, stop saying that about yourself. And second, say, I'm intentional about remembering names, and I want to remember people's names, and I want to connect their name and their face so that the next time I see them, they're going to be honored by the fact that I remembered their name. And then if I remember some detail about them or their family, that's connection. That makes a person feel wonderful that you remember their name, but then, oh yeah, you mentioned something about your daughter last time we talked, and how's she doing? Or, whatever event that they shared and whatever story they shared, because we want our stories to matter and we want people to remember our stories. And so when you can just attach a little bit of that story and their name and their face together in your mind, you will be a great impactor. You will impact lives in a great way, because just saying people's names will make them smile. And that's a superpower that very few people are taking advantage of.
I agree. And it goes right back to what Noelle said about active listening, because when someone tells you their name and you're just like not really paying attention, then you're really not listening to them. And there's a lot of neat things that we can do to remember people's names, create an anchor. When you meet somebody and they tell you their name, my massage therapist, her name is Monica. And of course I'm like, oh, Monica, we all know the famous Monica. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just remember her name. Or one of the gentlemen who parks the car, like his name is Phil and my dad's name is Phil. And so Putting associations with people's names really help. When someone has a very unique name, I always ask them how to spell it. And then I spell it in the air so that I remember the letters, and it helps me remember people's names. So really making a conscious choice to remember people's names is so, so important. I absolutely agree with you.
Well, and just use it 3 times. Like the
Yeah.
things, you use it 3 times in that first minute. Say their name back to them, ask them to spell it, and then tie their name to something cute about them. Those 3 things in the first minute, it's going to work. Trust me. That's pretty powerful memory stuff right there.
Right. And also when you forget someone's name, just being really upfront and say it like, I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. Tell me one more time. So I remember it this time, like really making that effort, but being genuine so that you don't always like you're skirting it. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. And you don't have to feel bad about it because everybody forgets names. They talk about it all the time. They'll be like, oh yeah, my name's this. And then you'd be like, oh yeah, now I got it. And
yeah. And when you're
especially as we get older,
you're a friend, when you're honest and genuine, you say, I forgot your name. It shows people how honest and genuine you are. Behavior is how you behave, and do one thing is how you do everything. And I think what you guys are sharing is exemplary of that. Tell us a little bit about some thing that sort of sparked the reason why you do what you do. Why is your mission so compelling to you, and why is helping other relationships so important? What was the thing that sparked all of that in the two of you?
So we've done lots of things, and we've been around the world. We raised our kids overseas. But 18 months ago, I ended up in ICU after having an open heart surgery and tubes coming out of all orifices and pokes and everything going everywhere. And not something you want your daughter or husband to have to see. But I had gone from healthy to an aortic dissection, which is 40% fatal normally. And after 6 months of recovery, the realization that both of us had that we need to take advantage of every moment and every day and live life to its fullest. And I went back to work and evaluated that I wasn't doing what I was set here to do. And so I left my job last year to help Robert support and encourage entrepreneurs and couples across the globe to be the best that they're supposed to be and live life that they're supposed to live, and not take advantage of the time we have. We're here for a limited time. We don't know how many days we have left.
I want to ask you about that, and I'm so glad you're healthy now. But a lot of people, maybe listeners who have been in situations where their health has been compromised, have chosen a different path where they feel victimized, or they feel like they can't do it, or they sort of go down the slippery slope of getting even worse. What was the thing that made you decide that you were going to reevaluate your life and do something to help others?
So I loved the job. I love the people I worked with. It just wasn't 100% me. And I wrote a book in that right after that 6-month period, and I started writing and sharing my story. And I realized after over almost 50 years of life that my story matters, and it doesn't matter what kind of story it was. I always thought that I didn't have anything special to share, but I have 50 years worth of life that it made me who I am today. And nobody else has those compilation of stories or events. It's who I am. It's who God made me to be. And it took time, but I wanted to help other women not have to think that they are not purposeful, they're not valuable. And I mean, personally, my goal is just to help women have healthy relationships and be the person that they're meant to be, because nobody else is going to do it for them.
I always say that when you tell your story, you transform your life. Would you say that writing your book and telling your story has transformed your life?
Definitely. I am not the same person I was 12 months ago, let alone 2 years ago. You have to tell your story. It's what we are here for. We are very unique and very special in who we are, and we have unique gifts and talents and purposes and passions, and nobody's going to tell your story for you.
Tell us the name of the book so that we can have our eyes out for it.
The book I wrote last year is called Dream Life Planner. It's a workbook on figuring out where you're at and where you want to go. So it's not something you get on Audible. It is a paperback that you need to work through.
I love that, because they say there's a huge connection between the hand and the head and the thoughts and the writing. Like, that really makes a huge impact. And so, Robert, when this was happening with Noelle, this was sort of changing her life. How was it impacting you?
Well, obviously, my role at the time was to support her, and I think, we have a great deal of trust in God, and so part of it was asking God, what is it that I need to learn from this? What is it that needs to happen for us moving forward? But we had a great deal of confidence in the thousands of people that were involved in supporting us in prayer and lifting Noel up, and we did have a very positive spirit and had a positive expectation, for a positive outcome, which I think really does play a role in having, been in this entrepreneurial space and wellness space enough to see the impact of your mindset on healing and the impact of your expectations on outcomes, is so important. And so I think, even our close friends, our close chaplain friends, were surprised by my positive spirit. First of all, when it happened, and I called both our kids, and my son lives in another state, and he said, "Do I need to come home?" And I said, "No, I think everything will be fine."
Mm.
She's in the best place to get the repair done, right there. It's not like we're trying to fix her in the garage and we need some extra hands. She was in the best hospital in Denver, and lots of different things that happened, that the best doctors were available to perform the procedure. And so all of the right things were happening, and it was completely outside of my control, other than being able to pray, which is super powerful, but yet, sometimes doesn't feel like, I'm getting my hands in solving this and fixing it. And so really it was a lesson in surrender.
And also your connection to faith. Let's talk a little bit about that, because, faith is not just religion. Faith is belief, it's understanding, it's connecting to something bigger than yourself. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of us need to be more connected to our belief systems, to believing in something bigger than ourselves, and having that connection to faith was really obviously super important during that time.
For me, it was signing the document to go into surgery was just like another piece of paper, like a mortgage document. I knew that I would come through the surgery. I had no doubts. I mean, he's called it a near-death experience, and for me, I just don't feel it, because to me, it was just another surgery, because I've had a few.
So your faith was that high that you just knew everything was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And for you, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar. It's certainly, I had the first night, God and I had a conversation that was a little more aggressive, but it was that moment of, I don't want to live without her, and so I really need to understand what's happening in this situation. But then it was also, do what you can do, and for me, it was a stark reminder of not taking another day for granted, and doing everything I can do each day to serve other people is just too important, to be wasted. And so it was a reminder that, keep doing what we're doing, but do it with more intensity.
Amen to that. Amen. Well, I'd love a little bit of ideas from the two of you on ways that our folks at home can build connections. Any suggestions that you have for them on what they can do right after this call to create more connection in their life that will in turn ignite others?
I think that the first thing is be willing to talk to people and ask their names. Like, when we go to breakfast and there's a group of folks, that are typically always there, and, you can ignore them and you can have your breakfast, or you can have a conversation and get to know, the person's name, get to know a little bit about them. And you don't have to sit down and have breakfast with them, but you can start to get to know, people. And I think, even in networking, especially, we have opportunities and typically get all caught up in business, but get a person's name and ask them something about their lives instead of asking them what they do.
And take the
Isn't
time.
it true? Yeah, great suggestion. Go ahead.
Yeah, take time to get to know people. So even in networking, you're asking them about them, not about their job, not about their role. And if that's too overwhelming and that's not who you are yet, ask the person at the grocery store. They have name tags on. you could just say, thank you, Joe, or it was great to see you today, Joe, and just interact with them a little bit. Take baby steps. And you can ask questions on, how's the weather at your house today? Something simple that everybody's going to be okay with answering. Don't feel afraid to ask questions. Be curious.
What a great suggestion. Well, we have a ways for people to reach out. We're going to put that up on the screen so they can find Robert and Noelle Patterson and find out a little bit what they're doing at addvaluetolife.com, learning about relationships, about entrepreneurial coaching. Thank you so much for being on the show. Obviously, it's evident that the two of you have a great connection and beautiful communications, and you're an inspiration to all of us. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Lady JB.
It was a pleasure being here.
You got it. Take care. Well, I love their story and I love their inspiration because it proves that each and every one of us can make a connection. And in fact, when you learn people's names or you ask people to share a little bit about themselves, you actually start forging more of a unity. And what I love is to go out on a limb and ask people, hey, what's your Ignite moment? What was that moment that really changed you and defined you? And so often I hear people pause and look up and they wonder and they have to think about it. But undoubtedly, they always remember that exact moment, that second, when something happened in their life that changed them. And more often than not, they're excited to share that moment so that we feel more connected and more inspired and create a better friendship. Well, if you know somebody who's got an incredible Ignite moment and they're doing something to ignite humanity, please let us know. Fill out our type form at ignitehumanity.life/share. And if you know somebody who's doing something and you want us to know about them, fill out the form for them so we can reach out to them and maybe have them on the show. If you want to know what are the things we're doing to ignite humanity, you can go to our website. We're doing books and documentaries. We're doing episodes and all kinds of initiatives to create igniting humanity around the planet, ignitehumanity.life. And if you would like to contribute to one of the ways that we are igniting humanity, we are building schools overseas in third world countries, and one brick at a time, we are creating possibilities and igniting humanity in children's lives. So go to ignitehumanity.life/donate and give us just $1, $2, $5. A very small contribution makes a big impact because every dollar buys a brick to build in the school. And we know that together, we can make a huge difference, one brick at a time. Well, if you would like to watch this episode again and find out more about Robert and Noelle, please go to ignitehumanity.life/watch, and you can see all of their episode and all the other episodes we've done here. We're coming to you live each and every day, Monday through Friday, sharing ways to ignite humanity, making sure that no matter where you are on the planet, no matter any of your conditions, you can shift the paradigm and create a new impact in your life that is absolutely going to ignite others. Principle number 2 in the Ignite Humanity principles is unite all people and connect everyone. And we're doing that diligently every day to make sure we can ignite humanity in that very special way. I'm your host, so happy to be here. Have a great day and go out and ignite someone's life.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.